Live. Welcome to Celestia Core Devs Call 23. Today we have a new draft CIP to discuss, as well as some updates from our working groups. Without more intro, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So from our DA working groups, I'll start with the ZK working group. Nash wasn't able to make it to this call today. Excuse me. So from the last ZK working group call, they decided on the call that there's sufficient clarity on the design to remove the call for now and just do async engineering updates and ad hoc calls when needed. So if you're interested in joining or already in the group, the Telegram chat is the best place for that ZK working group. The more longer term plan for the ZK working group is to have a CIP covering predominantly the Groth 16 IBC verifier, which will be written and made available for review after the initial implementation is complete. Yeah, so if you're watching and curious about what's going on there, please join the working group. I think you can reach out to Nash Q if you want to join that. Let's go ahead and check on Vlad. You're here. Awesome. We can go back up to the updates from the DA working group. If you want to give us a quick summary of that,
Yeah,
Vlad,
sure.
that would be great. Thank you.
So we had a call with the working group and discussed the configuration for the light nodes. And decision was that we will allow the light nodes to have a configurable pruning window for samples in the range of 1 to 30 days. It will allow light nodes to prune essentially 29 days of samples, which is 25 gigabytes. While still they will have an option to contribute more to the network security if they would like to do so, if they have a capacity to do that. Implementation will follow later. They need some time to implement it. But yeah, decision is this. And also there's a reconstruction work in progress. There is design document posted in the link, which describes the protocol of the reconstruction that will be implemented later. Yeah, so check it out. It has outlined the problem and how we're gonna solve it. And yeah, so everyone is welcome to comment there, and feel free to reach out to me or in DA working group if you have any questions or suggestions or any feedback.
Sweet. Thank you, Vlad, and congrats on that design doc. I think, is there anything else from the DA working group that we need to discuss today? I'll take the silence as a no. What's up?
Yeah, there is
This is a
another
great place to
thing.
talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, there is another thing which is related to the working group. So currently Lumina, with the current backward sync implementation, it always fetches a new head and starts from there going backward. And this is also to be changed. So yeah, I haven't yet managed to write about it on the working group to discuss it there, but yeah, that's also a topic that is a subject to change, and ideally we would just rewrite the logic once, fixing both things at the time.
Cool, Mac. If you could actually maybe leave a comment on this agenda for that, that would be awesome. Otherwise,
Sure.
we'll have it in the notes for the call.
Sure.
While we're here, I do want to check on, sorry, Mac, did you want to discuss that more?
I prefer to first prepare everything and then follow the discussion as async, I guess.
Okay, sounds good. And then while we're here, I do want to check that in case anyone from the interface working group has updates, I want to give you the floor now. I think there are no updates though. So we'll move on. Cool. So we have a draft CIP. I realized I should have actually linked the forum post for this. So we have a new CIP draft. It's in a draft PR currently to reduce inflation. The CIP was written by Marco and Dean. Marco's here. So I want to go ahead and pass the floor over to you to discuss this. I guess the right place to discuss it is in the forum. There's also been some, I guess, editing that's been done on the PR already. But yeah, I'm going to give you the floor, Marco, and let you talk about your CIP.
Yeah, so the core premise is that the core premise is to lower inflation. We went back and forth and we looked at dynamic inflation. This is kind of how Cosmos, the native Cosmos Mint module, is designed. This is it's also a design that's being discussed on Solana and Near, and so it's been a interesting to follow it. The reason why we went with a fixed reduction and a fixed rate following the existing path of a disinflation amount per year is to keep in the spirit of Celestia being a simple protocol and to keep it just to keep it simple overall, but also that we don't want to necessarily lower inflation too high, too much. And I know that we've seen a lot of discussion on Twitter, and some people were saying, why not lower it by 50%? Why 33%? Why not 60%? And so on. Why we settled on 33% was that we feel like around 5%, and this is just under 5%, for a 1-year-old protocol seems like a healthier amount than the initially proposed 7.2%. The reason being that Celestia has been seeing a lot of success in block space consumption, but also the inflation, in our opinion, prevents a healthy ecosystem from emerging in terms of applications that want to offer yield, other opportunities of yield on the TIA token. By keeping the inflation high, they have to either inflate their own token or they have to do some witchcraft to get the inflation higher than to get the yield higher than the inflation rate. Here we can see that the drop of 33% to 50% is a not as drastic as a change, but since the ecosystem of yield opportunities in the for TIA is emerging but has not kind of fully taken effect outside of the staking yield, we don't want to drop it too much that then users will end up unstaking and then possibly looking for stuff without success and just end up holding. So we still want to maintain the high amount of bond ratio and the high amount of security that Celestia has been offering and has been known for, and why a lot of teams are coming to use Celestia without wanting to maintain that without forcing people to like unbond and just sit on the tokens and or increase the market pressure of the token. What else to add? Any questions?
I wanted to offer you to screen share yourself. I realize it might not be as helpful if I'm jumping around. But yeah, I guess on that note, I would like to open up discussion around this.
I know.
I mean, as I said before, I personally support this proposal. I know there's some discussion about whether it should be 33% or 50%, and what should be what's the like specific rationale for a specific inflation rate. But I don't think there needs to be there doesn't need to be a strongly objective rationale, because like the original like rationale for the original inflation rate and inflation curve in the first place didn't have a strong rationale. It was just like a copy and paste of the Solana inflation curve. And Solana's inflation curve wasn't necessarily that deeply thought through either. So like you can't be too objective about these things. But I think like everyone can agree that the inflation is too high, and we should reduce it. And I think 33% is a good balance. So I think 50% could be fine as well, but it's more risky because I don't think any proof of stake network that's 1 year old has ever had an inflation rate of just 3%.
Yeah, fully agree. Like, I'm in strong support of this proposal as it is. But yeah, everything Mustafa said. Thank you, Marco.
Also, I think another good reason not to go to 50% right off the bat is it's easier to um, do another jump if we see that 33% is well adopted and even more people are pushing for 50%. It's easier to go to 33% to 50% than it is to go from 50% to 33%. So while I understand many people do want to do a jump to something lower, I think like doing smaller steps and seeing how the market reacts is a much more healthy and much more stair-stepped approach.
Well, thank you, Marco. Thank you, Mus and Ismail, for chiming
The
in as
only,
well.
the only other
What's
thing
up?
might be worth discussing is, from an objective perspective, is we can also consider increasing. Like, if someone does objective analysis, and says like now validators are being paid too little, we can increase the commission. We can increase the minimum commission, but I don't think that's the case anyway. I don't think that's the case anyway, because I think Josh Bowen did analysis already on Twitter. Even with a lower inflation rate, validators get paid more than enough.
Agree. And I think it's just the first proposal of potentially many. I think as the Celestia ecosystem, the TIA ecosystem for alternative yield opportunities to staking emerges, lending and other things, we could see a opportunity to lower the inflation even more. Right now, staking for the TIA token is the primary yield opportunity, as we've seen with many of these secondary LST tokens. And so here, dropping it too much all of a sudden could have adverse reaction in the market. While I think if we have alternative solutions for locking up the token, then even those locked tokens offer a form of security because those tokens are taken off the market.
Trying to be slow here to make sure anyone who wants to speak can. So, curious if anyone else has thoughts or questions about this. I'm also going to try and be respectful of everyone's time. So I think that's probably it for now. On this CIP, if you're interested in joining the discussion, there's a forum post which links to the pull request. I don't think there's anything else for this call. I think that CIP will stay in draft until we go ahead and review it to merge it into an actual draft. I think we can discuss this more in the next core devs call. That being said, I kind of wanted to get a feel for when we think we should do this next. The ZK working group is not holding regular calls anymore, so it might be a good time to move the call forward a few hours. which would be either, I guess Nash isn't here, and that's why he's not here. We could do like an hour or 2 hours sooner on this day if we want, but I was thinking we do it in 3 weeks instead of 2. I guess are there any thoughts around when we should have our next call?
Considering that the initial proposal is set for V4,
Yep.
I think it will be, very sensible to set a quarters call soon enough, so we have enough timeline to agree or disagree on this proposal. Basically, like,
Okay.
making sure the final call arrives properly so core devs have time to implement it and not rush it. Otherwise, it will not
Yeah,
be good, if it makes sense.
for sure.
Is there a deadline for when CIP should be open and discussed to be included in the next upgrade?
No, nothing official.
Yep, nothing official so far.
Okay.
So that's why I propose we have like sooner than we thought on this particular CAP, because like ideally if everyone agrees and no one is proposing any alternatives, then on V4 it should be should be in.
Okay. Do you think 3 weeks is too far from now?
Do you want to let's do in 2 weeks if possible?
Yeah, let's just do 2 weeks. Cool.
Yeah, I was about to propose the same. Like in 2 weeks, so we basically have it in draft officially, and we go into nitty-gritty details. Or if not, we just know it will be a smooth ride for V4.
Cool.
I have like another 1 or 2 CIPs that would like to propose. So 2 weeks would be healthier in regards to the
Sweet.
upgrade.
Sounds good. We'll go ahead and do we want to do this earlier? I think a lot of the Celestia team will actually be cutting it close if we do it earlier next week. So I think we should just stick with the same time for the next call, and then talk about that in the chat for future rescheduling.
Nick,
Let's take it to the chat.
Nick may be
Yeah.
the deciding factor if he's still in Hawaii.
Right.
I'm all
thank
good.
you again.
Don't worry about me. I'll make it.
Nick. Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Marco, for hopping in to discuss your CIP. And I look forward to seeing everyone in 2 weeks, and hopefully some new CIPs as well. Have a good one, everyone.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Cheers.
See you. Bye.